Glad Dad let you stay up.
Yes, so am I. New outrage after a Texas teen kills 4 people in a drunk driving accident, gets no jail time whatsoever. The attorney's defense: the teen was too affluent to know any better, hence the so-called affluenza defense. The families of the victims outraged.
Had he not had money to have the defense there, to also have the experts testify, and also offer to pay for the treatment, I think the results would have been different.
No amount of money or prestige or status is ever going to grant them immunity to what they all chose for their life that caused this to our lives.
Anna Yum is a former prosecutor. Keith Sullivan, a criminal defense attorney. Anna, let me start with you since you're the prosecutor. You know, Lady Justice is supposed to be blind, balancing the scales fairly. I think sometimes when money is concerned, Lady Justice peeks from underneath that blindfold. What do you think? Is this the case that proves it?
I agree with you on that, Greg. I absolutely do. Unfortunately, in our criminal justice system, there are so many disparities when it comes to resources, race, and then, of course, the eventual outcome. And case in point, this judge, Judge Boyd, allegedly sentenced an African-American juvenile to 10 years in jail when he punched someone and one punch killed someone. So that, in and of itself, when compared to what's going on with this case, just bolsters the position that in our criminal justice system, there is a disparity based upon race and resources.
Keith, what about that? I mean, it never works the other way, does it? Poverty actually never helps the accused.
It rarely does, Greg, but given all the outrage here, one of the people you shouldn't be outraged at is the attorney. And I know I'm going to get a lot of hate mail for having said that, but the attorney is under an ethical obligation to vigorously represent and defend his client. And he did that here masterfully. Let's take a step back for a second. This affluenza defense concept or theory is truly an oversimplification of a valid condition. And they hired an expert, a medical expert, who examined this kid and said, look, he suffers from personality disorder.
Yeah, but
he's
a poor
depressed.
kid wouldn't have the wherewithal to be able to hire such a top-notch expert. That's the problem here.
That's not accurate, Greg. A poor kid would have a court-appointed attorney who, if he picks up on the theory and leverages it, he can go to court and ask them to pay for
that court-appointed attorney would have to get approval and funding from the judge, and I bet you 9 out of 10 judges would say, sorry about that, no way.
Sorry,
I agree with you there. I agree with you there, Greg, on that point. But this particular judge would allow for it. But this is what I wanted to say,
Greg. But this is the thing. The juvenile criminal justice system, I understand, is about rehabilitation and not necessarily retribution. Right. But it's also about accountability here, okay? And when you don't have accountability, then you just perpetuate the action. I don't think it should have been a mutually exclusive type of situation where he got just rehab or he just got jailed. I think there could have been a combination of both, because that way he's accountable for his actions. He can think about what he did and then address the substance abuse treatment problem that he has. I just don't think it could have been
here, and I think we have a picture of the State District Judge Jean Boyd. Now, listen, she obviously entertained the argument by the defense of affluence, but the defense attorney said, well, she didn't really decide it based on that. She decided it based on rehabilitation. Come on, Keith, you buy that?
I do, because
the defense attorney's spinning it the same way you'd spin it.
No, the word affluence was used one time, never by the attorney. It was used once in the entire hearing by mistake by the expert. He admitted that afterwards. He said, it's not a term I wanted to use. It's not part of the medical diagnosis.
It was the content of the expert testimony of affluence that may have been the deciding factor here, even though the defense says, no. Anna?
But
that's absolutely right, Greg. That's absolutely right, because it was the defense's own expert who said that term, and he didn't say that he didn't want to use that term. He regrets using that expression, but the content in and of itself was the same. It was that this kid was so affluent that he couldn't understand the difference between right or wrong.
He's way out of time. I'm sorry about that. Keith Sullivan, Anna Yum, good to see you both. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Pleasure. Good weekend.
Thank you. All right.